So today I'm going to talk to you about tofu. And what is it, and why is there so much confusion, and why you need to know what the different types are so you don't have a disaster in the kitchen. So when I first came to a plant-based diet, I thought there were so many different types of tofu. I didn't know how to use them, and I was very intimidated by them. But as I started learning more and more about them, I found out there's so much potential in these products. I'm going to be talking to you a little bit about what they are and how they work. There's two types of tofu. You have a silken version of tofu, and this is typically a Japanese style of tofu. This is great for dips, sauces, and marinades. I wouldn't use this if I was going to stir fry or make a scrambled tofu. There's also a water pack type of tofu that you drain the water out, and it's not shelf stable like this type of tofu. This will stay on the shelf depending on when the expiration date is, about 6 months. You can put it in the refrigerator, or I just store it in the cabinet. And this is a water pack type. This needs to go into the refrigerator. Both of them are silken. Both of these you would use for any type of dressing, salad, marinade, those types of things. A dessert actually too. Okay, we have these two types of tofu. And again, these are water pack tofu. You can find these in the refrigerated section of your grocery store. And one is extra firm and one is firm. I would use these for stir fries. I would use these for scrambled tofu. You could use either one. If you take the firm tofu and decide you want to use that one, you're going to have to strain it and push all the water out to make it a lot easier to use. The more you push the water out, the more firm it's going to get. And I'll demonstrate to you how that works. And then we have something that's really cool. It's called sprouted tofu. And this is what I call my super extra firm tofu. It does have a little bit of water. You are going to find it in your refrigerated section of your grocery store. And you are going to want to press the water out as well. But this is really going to hold its shape a lot better than, let's say, a firm. And this actually is going to have a consistency of what I'm going to talk about next, which is a baked tofu. Now these baked tofus are great for sandwiches. They're really going to have a meaty-like consistency, and a lot of them are already marinated with different things, such as like a Bragg's liquid amino or some kind of like chicken-like seasoning. So it takes a lot of the guesswork out, but you are going to be paying for it. It's very expensive at the store, so I want to teach you how to make it yourself. And then we have a veggie burger, and this is pretty much a soy burger. It's mostly soy-based, and it has a few different ingredients like kale and carrots and things like that. But we can make these for literally pennies on the dollar. So once you get comfortable working with tofu, you're going to see how much money you're going to save. So I want to show you what I would do if I was going to make a baked tofu. Something like this. I would use a super firm sprouted tofu that you can find in the grocery store, or I would use the extra firm. I'm going to open both of these and I'm going to show you how they look. So the super firm tofu, I would simply just cut it, and since it does have some water in it, I'm going to want to drain that. Okay, so I would just pour all the water out and press as much as I can to get it out. And then what I'm left with is literally a brick of tofu that you can use. And this is great by itself. You can add a few seasonings to it and turn it into a sandwich if you want. But I would just simply cut it and make either slices that I could fry in a stir fry, or I could turn it into a cube. Now would this work for a scrambled tofu? I don't know. I think it would be pretty tough to try to break it all down. You could turn it into cubes and definitely use the same ingredients you would for a scrambled tofu. But you can see it's very dense and it holds its shape really well. And these are kind of delicious just by themselves. And then what I would do if I was going to bake this, I would just turn it into some strips, and I would put them on a cookie sheet that I would spray with something like a Pam, so it's not going to stick. And then I would simply put this in the oven at about 250, and I would let it cook for about 25 to 35 minutes. What you want to achieve is a nice meat-like consistency. So, or you could even just do them like this and put them on there, depending on what your goal is. What I would do to marinate this is I would just get a shallow pan, and this works really great. If you just take some of your Bragg's liquid aminos or any kind of like soy sauce alternative, or even a soy sauce if you're comfortable with that, I just kind of coat the bottom of my pan And then I'm just gonna put the tofu in there and I'm gonna let them marinate. Not very long, you can probably do it for just a few minutes. And then I'm just gonna coat it really good. And just like you would any marinade, and this is really gonna give you a nice Asian flavor. And then I would put that in the pan as well. Or another quick way you can do this, and this is what I typically do at home, is I just have my sprayed cookie sheet and I'll just simply take my soy sauce alternative and just squirt it all over. And then I like this is really great. Bill's Best chicken seasoning, or any kind of seasoning that is kind of vegetarian, doesn't have any MSG in it. Just sprinkle it on like you would. And then I would put this in the oven and I would bake it until everything was nice and coated, and then I could use it for anything. I could put it in a salad, I could put it on some vegetables, and I could even stir fry with it. And what I want to show you too is this extra firm. The way this works is, since it is water packed a lot more than the sprouted, you just take your knife and you're going to cut down and open the top, and then get a colander, or you can even just drain it inside its own little package here. And we're just gonna empty out all the water, and you can see that it's water packed. Now, what would you do if you only used half of this tofu? Well, what you wanna do to store it in the refrigerator, it'll keep about a week. I put it in like a glass bowl like this and fill it with water. Make sure that your tofu is submerged in water, and it will last you for about a week. So you don't feel like you have to use it all at once. And you can see it's pretty close to the consistency of the sprouted. It's pretty thick, but it does have a lot more water, and I'm just gonna keep squeezing this out. This is a great one for scrambled tofu. You could also bake this. If I was gonna use it for scrambled tofu, I would just take my tofu, I put it in a bowl, and then I would just kind of press out to make kind of like either ricotta-like consistency or a scrambled egg-like consistency. I really love using extra firm, but again, you can use the firm. And then I want to show you how the Silken works. In a box like this, you would just peel up your corners. And with your scissors, you're going to cut it off the triangle ends here. And then you're just going to take your scissors and you're going to cut the top off. And you can see that this is really almost like a jelly-like. And it works great for, like, you know, puddings and desserts and things like this. This would not be something that I would use in a scrambled tofu because it's very delicate and it's going to fall apart. So you can see that it's not going to hold up in a frying pan. It's definitely not going to hold up on a cookie sheet if you bake it. It's very, very fine, and I don't know how to explain it, soft. So this would be something for a pudding or a nice salad dressing. And that is all I have to say about tofu. I hope you take the plunge and get used to using it, because it can be a wonderful addition to your vegetarian and plant-based lifestyle.